Hey guys, hope all of you are doing very well out there. I want to start by just thanking everyone so much for their support, especially those who donated through the GoFundMe campaign. We raised right around $6,000 in less than one whole day, and I greatly appreciate that. The really amazing thing is a lot of those donations were from small contributors, under $20, which is amazing to see what things can be accomplished with a group, this team mentality, and I'm really grateful for all of your support. I specifically want to say a special thank you to my friend Tavares, who dropped a $1,000 donation on that page as well. When he did that, I reached out to him immediately and was very grateful. I just was in amazement. And I really hope that soon him and I can get together and do something car related, because really that's what these videos should be about, are the cars. So again, thank you so much, Tavares, and really everybody, even down to the commenting, the liking, the subscribing. I can't thank you all enough. Now, regarding the GoFundMe campaign, before we even hit 24 hours on it, I did shut off donations and I asked for a refund for everybody, and I've received the email confirmation that everyone should be receiving a complete refund. Just in the last several hours, there's just been so many emails from so many different types of people. And one party had written me offering to help me through this, and I'm very gracious for them and for reaching out to me. And I let them know that I think it'd be the best thing to do would just be refund the GoFundMe campaign contributions. And again, I thank you so much. And just for all the naysayers out there are a lot of guys like, he's going to steal your money and all this other stuff. I wrote GoFundMe, and you can check out the timestamp in this email, and specifically asked them, if I raise a certain amount but only use a percentage of it, can I do a partial refund to everybody? And they told me no. I find it a big responsibility to be asking for money from someone. I've never had a Patreon. I've never held any sort of fundraiser like this before. But this was a special situation, and again, I just can't thank you enough. So I hope that clarifies why the GoFundMe page is still up and no longer accepting any donations, and all the donations have been refunded. If you have any issues, please reach out to GoFundMe, or you can reach out to me and we'll definitely get that resolved. Going forward, I just want to clarify a few things and go into a little bit more detail into everything that's going on. The first thing I like to point to is the Jalopnik article that was posted. An attorney by the name of Steve Lado had commented in that article, and he had basically said that when we're talking about fair use, we're really only talking about copyright, and this specific situation that I'm in is a trademark issue. And while the general usage of fair use is thought of as copyright, because it is, he's right there, there is a trademark fair use. And you can go ahead and Google that. I'm not going to dive into that discussion at all. Just research it for yourself and come up with your own opinions on it. The next thing is the 80 pizza idea, which was met with some criticism as this is where you could really get snagged delivering 80 pizzas regardless of where you're bringing them to. And I want to make it clear that this was an idea that I tried to do in part with an organization. This is not something that I know I could make happen without really the help and agreement with that organization. And it's reminiscent of a conversation I had with a friend of mine way before all of this occurred, a guy named Rich from the channel Rich Rebuilds. He sometimes calls me for YouTube questions, and I call him a lot for car questions because he actually disassembled an entire Tesla and put it back together. And one of the things he called me about was sponsorships. And in a conversation, I remember telling him something along the lines of, it would be amazing if I could work together with a certain organization, because the internet, I think, thinks that we're at odds, and that's really not the case. Nothing really had come about anything except for very recent. And I said it would just make a real impactful statement, and all I need are some pizzas. It would be really kind of a fun thing. I think the video would be great. And exactly what I had described to Rich, I described to the gentleman from the organization over the phone as a possibility promotion of sorts. So again, that was to be done through a specific organization. It's kind of funny because in that conversation where I mentioned that, this organization actually came to me and say, hey, we want to pitch you an idea where you go on like a tour with this car, and then you stop and then you deliver it to the headquarters as your final video. And like my response was, it was pretty polite on the phone, like, yeah, I guess it's all right. But in my mind, I was like, the only world tour I'm partaking in is Joey's world tour.
No, I'm not on crack. Woo, 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 woo.
Now, arguably, the largest criticism I've received from this whole situation is, hey, dummy, just take the logos off the car. That's all you got to do. What are you doing? Why are you fighting? And that's actually something I've had to clarify a few times, and I'll tell you how that discussion got started. In my previous video, like I said, the first email that I received said, we'd like to offer to wrap the car in your favorite sports team logo or different design. And immediately I was like, okay, you know, the sports team thing again, kind of strange, but I wanted to ask what that entailed. When I called and asked about that, it not only entailed removing logos, it entailed dismantling the entire car down to the proprietary parts, which I will tell you that here's a picture of the warming oven. It has no logo on it, period. In the follow-up phone call, which was referenced as well in the Jalopnik article, a statement was made to me which was, what is your end game? And at that point, things were, I would say, somewhat tense in the phone call, and I really don't have an end game. There is no plan to this. I'm looking right now, right there in the distance is a Jaguar I should be working on right this instant. So I don't have some grand scheme for this car. I really just want to continue the channel and what it's doing. And my response to the individual was simple. I just said, I want to continue making good content, to which they rebutted, you can do that without using our logo, which I then asked, wait a minute. Let's go back, because in the previous phone call, it went past that. You wanted to dismantle the entire car. Could you please clarify that? In which the second individual on the phone call took over really quick, said, yeah, no, we got to take everything off the car. And so it made it pretty clear that it goes past the logos, even though on some of these parts there are no specific logos on them. So just so you understand, it's not seemingly as easy as that. To some of the other internet people that are creating stories and whatnot, I did not add any logos to this car. Every single logo that's on this car came on this car. There's been no addition of logos, period. Obviously, I want to remain open-minded in this entire situation. I mean, I did respond to their first correspondence with myself, and I did so in a quick fashion because I knew it was the right thing to do. And I took a few phone calls from them. So it's not like I'm just like, no way you'll pry it from my cold dead hands. I've never once taken that angle, period, in this entire situation. So there's one last thing that I want to reference. This is straight from the Jalopnik article, which I will mention that David Tracy, I think, did a very judicious job in writing this. I think that he got my side and also went and reached out to the other individuals involved. And that's specifically what I want to comment on. There's a quote in the article, and I'm going to read this straight from the article, and you guys can read it. It's over at Jalopnik. But it says, and I quote, "Plus, Domino's corporate responded to my inquiry on this matter, saying, here's what we know. The franchisee to whom the car belonged offered this gentleman $10,000 for it. He countered with a request for $90,000. From there, it became a legal issue, and that's all we can say at this point." Now, I never spoke any numbers with David Tracy, and I'm not going to confirm any numbers here. But I want to put that whole entire thing in context. First of all, it's very interesting to me if you note that Domino's corporate is responding regarding an issue with what they're calling a franchisee. And I specifically would guess that they maybe have a recording of this phone call. So by all means, if you want to put it out there, I'd be happy for people to hear it. But I think the context in which this argument occurred is extremely important. So basically, what had happened earlier with the exchange where they asked me what my end game was because I had declined the purchase that they had offered, and I responded with, I just want to make good content. It turned into quickly the legal sort of, this is what's going to happen. We're going to send you this legal notice and we're going to send you that. Everything that the individual was saying was very negative to me. So I just responded with, you can continue to threaten, but before I could finish my statement, I was going to say something like, you can continue to threaten, but it's not going to change the fact that I just can't accept your purchase offer. But I said, you can continue to threaten, but he cut me off saying, it's not a threat, it's just business, which is like ironic because that's a scene right out of The Godfather, and I'll let you guys look that one up. But when he said that, it was like, then that threw to me like, really? That this is really how they're thinking, it's just business. And so I said, well, hey, if it's just business, then how about this amount right here? And I did counter a number. I want to reiterate that I'm staying completely open-minded, and I just want to work with the other side to get this behind us because it's not doing any good and it's holding me up from, again, going to work on the car that is right behind the camera here. So guys, I really appreciate you watching this. Please forgive me, but if you write me a generic question right now, it's going to be really tough for me to respond because I'm getting a ton of emails. My contact information is in the description box below. If you maybe think you can offer some sort of help or advice or whatnot, I'm all ears. I really, again, appreciate everyone's support. Thank you, and I will touch base with you very soon.